Now, Qantas leaders have pulled out at the last minute from an aviation conference, this following weeks of reputational blows to our national carrier. It's also been revealed today that 5 of the 7 commissioners of the Australian Competition and Consumer Commission are members of the exclusive invitation-only Chairman's Lounge. These are senior public servants from the watchdogs that regulate Qantas's consumer relations and aviation safety. How can they possibly be investigating customer safety from the luxury of the Chairman's Lounge? Well, to discuss this, commentators Joyce and Markson and former Speaker of the House, Bronwyn Bishop, join me here. An honour to have you both.
Delighted.
What do you think about this, Bronwyn? I mean, surely if someone's in an independent regulator position like that, they should just excuse themselves from the perks, even for the perception of a conflict of interest.
Well, perhaps the one thing that mitigates against that is the fact that all the High Court judges are also members. And, of course, they brought down a decision that didn't please Qantas at all. So I would hope these other regulators would be in the same situation. The difficulty is with the question of the decision on Qatar Airways and the Minister and the Prime Minister's position is that their jobs are on the line, whereas those regulators and the judges, their jobs aren't on the line. So it is a difficult position when you look at the two together to say, really, I think you have to separate them out from the political decisions being made about Qatar and favouring Qantas and seeing that they're going to fly the Yes Case people around for free and putting their livery on the aircraft. I think they're different questions. I would like to think that the regulators are in the same position as the High Court judges.
I think what it exposes, though, Jason, is the fact that Alan Joyce and Qantas has been giving these perks to regulators, to High Court judges, to politicians, that Prime Minister's son, and you'd have to say it's an attempt to at least carry favour. You can't see it as anything else.
Why else? Why else would it? I'd like to hope that the regulators of the ACCC are above this, and in the much way we've seen the High Court clearly is. A few free bottles of scotch and a couple of servings of steak in the Qantas Lounge didn't get them the judgment they wanted. That said, the whole thing has turned from what it was to what it now is. And it used to be about rewarding people that Qantas thought were special. Big spenders, big stars, and probably a few pollies. I mean, you've probably had a bit of time in there over the years. I've never. Actually, that's not true. Corey Bernardi signed me in once, saw me at the airport, took pity on me and said, come in. And I thought, so this all it is. So,
well, there you go.
It seems that the whole thing is a bit of an overplay right now. What I kind of do think about it when it comes down to it is the new CEO has the job to reform this company, and it will be really interesting to see if she tactically undoes a lot of the manipulative games that had been going on with the previous.
Yeah, but she's been part of it. She was there for...
Maybe Olivia Worth's not out of the game yet?
No, well, we'll see. We'll see. Now, I want to turn to this Richard Marles travel scandal. He's the Defence Minister. He promised or indicated, at least in media interviews, that he would provide some more information about the $3.6 million he spent on private flights. He hasn't done that. And in fact, he initially claimed that there was security advice that indicated there was concerns about pattern of life behaviour. So if he released the travel documents, this would be a security concern. But it turns out, and David Shoebridge revealed this last night on my program, there has been no new guidelines since 2013. Bronwyn, what's your reaction to this?
Well, look, the precedents were all set back in 2009. And that's when Wayne Swan, as Treasurer, chartered an aircraft from Brisbane to go to the fundraiser for the Labor Party at Bathurst called the Light on the Hill. There are several other shadow ministers went along, or shadow ministers subsequently have gone along and all claimed expenses. But Mr Swan claimed 7,381 or something, and that was disclosed. But he said it was official business and therefore it was all okay. He never repaid the money. I, on the other hand, was also disclosed. I was on official business and understand ministers and presiding officers are governed by the same rules. I decided that the cost was too great when I saw it, so I repaid it. So the precedent is set. It's there. It must be disclosed. What happens after that?
I have to tell you, the Green Senator David Shoebridge actually defended you, Bronwyn. He said yours was just one chopper flight, and what we've got here is $3.6 million, and there's no transparency. We don't know where it was
There's
from,
no
to,
comparison
or what for.
between the two. He is the minister for rorting it. And that's how he will be, because it's all over his face now. And, you know, they always like to talk about the pub test and what does and fails the pub test. People think and know him to be someone who is clinging on to every possible rule and twist and turn possible. In the real world, mate, they've already decided. They know what you're doing, and they know that you're running a little game here, and it won't get undone. And unless he wants to pay back the 3 whatever million, he can't go using the but Bronwyn defence, which is one of what they're playing at now.
The first time in half a century that they haven't released the travel documents. It's shocking. Now, I want to ask you both about the voice to Parliament. Bronwyn, how damaging do you think the Marcia Langton accusations of racism this week have been for the Yes case?
Hugely damaging. I mean, it's what has happened when she tried to spin a way out of it. People went digging and went back 6 years and found she hasn't changed her mind at all. She thinks that Australia is a racist swamp. This is a damn good country with good people. We have welcomed to this country millions. We all came from somewhere else. Some came 60,000 years ago, some came 6 years ago, some came 200 years ago. But what we've built is a tremendous nation. Now, when I hear the statement made that all Aboriginal people are disadvantaged, that's just not right. Marcia Langton's not disadvantaged. As I've said before, Noel Pearson's not disadvantaged. But there are Aboriginal people who are tremendously disadvantaged. They need to be found out their plight, like the woman I identified on the cement slab, living there for 2 years.
No, terrible.
And all that
story.
money in from the elders who are the custodians of these land holdings, which do not permit individual Aboriginal people to actually own them and build a house for themselves. We've got a lot of reform to do that, and none of it needs a voice in the Constitution.
Jason?
It's so obvious. This is a peephole into what's around the corner. Her behaviour and that of Mayo is just a peephole of what could happen, and people will look at it. Doesn't matter how many celebrities want to write yes on their hand and hold it up for selfies. People are looking at this and seeing it for what it is. And I think to a lot of people, whether they want to explore it or not, they look at the future of this and say, this is frightening. I don't want it, no.
All right. Bronwyn Bishop, Jason Morrison, so wonderful to have you both here tonight. Thank you.